Today we talked about how important is design brief when you're in the process of design with a client or with any project that you're doing. Now today we're going to talk about the initial design process that is important and how a design process actually starts in a project with the client. Now, what I have personally experienced is that when you start a project, client generally says that kindly give us two three options for the design. That's fine, because he has certain expectations. But at the same time, you must realize that when you have a very free and an open ended hand, you are working in a multi-directional process, or rather approach, where you are not very sure as to what is the end product that client is asking for. Now, when that happens, you work out one design, you work out second design, you work out third design, and then you send all these three designs to the client. And then finally, a client says that, all right, this is something which is near to my expectation. Now, I say that or rather, how I would put it is that when I have to design something for my client, I make my client as an equal stakeholder in the process of design. What do I mean by that is that you have to ask your client very clearly, very categorically, as to what is his taste, as to what is it that he is actually liking. When you will ask this, he will speak up few points, he'll speak up few inspirational things, he would talk about some of his experience, which he must have had in his past. And eventually he's going to give you something from his heart as to this is the kind of will and desire he's looking for. Will and desire se matlab hai that this is the kind of design that he's looking for. Now, when you talk in terms of an inspiration that you're taking from the client, it could be anything. This could come from a Pinterest, this could come from some reference image, this could come from a click from a live uh, image that he would have crossed, he would have come across somewhere in the city. But at the same time, when you receive that, you get a clear direction. It's not that you have to copy paste that, because of course your site is going to be different, your context is going to be different, the budget of the client is going to be different. But what I'm saying is that you get a direction of working in terms of that. Now when you're going to do these three options, it is going to be around this. So now you are a little clear as to what your client needs. So sometimes a client would abruptly say that if we only give you some inspiration or design, that your ideas will get restricted, and then you'll only focus and work out only on those designs. So I have been telling this to the client that we do it from ourselves. It basically means that we are investing a time which is going to be for hit and try. It may be liked by you, it may not be liked by you, but when you give us something, that means that we both are on the same direction, and we are heading ourselves towards less time consuming approach. By this, I clearly and categorically mean that now we are on the same page, and this effort that we are going to do for you out of these three options, or it could be four options, or it may squeeze down to two options as well. It is exactly in the direction of what you are looking for, and the time and energy reduces to a great extent. And it's not only my time, it's your time as well, because anything that can be wrapped up in 7 days eventually takes 20 days, 21 days, and then there's a delay in the project in terms of the design. So there has to be some or the other way by which we come to a conclusion, and sooner we do, the more we save onto the time. Now, when you produce these designs to the client, there are going to be few things which he may like, there are few things which he may not like. And also there's a great demand by the clients, by the way, that they would like to see the 3D of the building. Now, when you say that you need to see the 3D of the building, it basically means that you are asking for a clear picture from me as to what you have been visualizing, now you must understand that any 3D that you're making has to incorporate a lot of services into it. Now, I don't understand how can somebody make a 3D without incorporating services into the structure. So what I'm trying to say is that you make a beautiful elevation and you don't include service. That means tomorrow your rainwater pipe, your soil waste pipe, your water supply pipe, your air conditioning, if it's a split one, or maybe the piping. I mean, things are going to come, in terms of the vertical services. What will you do out of that? That means you're going to put this in your elevation somewhere or the other. And when you induct that later, I've seen a lot of beautiful houses, nicely done elevations, and they have a AC unit that pops out there. Is that the way to go about it? I really wonder. I don't think so. What I feel is that I need to work out on these elevations with services integrated in it, and to an extent that if the project is of a little bigger scale, I might have a MEP consultant on board. So drawings will first go to him before going to the client. He's going to give us feedback. Once I take that, then it is incorporated into the elevation, and then we would like to share it with the client. Nevertheless, once the elevations are integrated with the services, yes, I mean, now I have all the confidence to work on the elevations in terms of 3D with respect to a lot of other things. That really saves my time, because if I show you an elevation which is without services and you appreciate it, and now I start inducting the services into this, it will really change my elevation a little bit here and there, and then you might have certain observations into it, and then that is to be incorporated. So it becomes a to and fro process. Now, not only this, I also have to be very, very cautious about selection of materials. If you look at some of our, if you look at my channel on YouTube, we have uploaded certain projects that we've done. And if you go through them, you would rarely see any service which is going to be mounted on the elevation. We've kind of complemented with the elevation and gels up with the facade, and there is an explanation as well personally by me on it, how we have really done all this. So when I talk of selection of materials, I break this up into two parts. First one is you have the basic aesthetic material, which is generally included just for the sake of aesthetics purpose, so that the project, the elevation looks nice, good, appealing. Whereas when you talk of services which are being treated in the elevation, we intentionally use certain projects, certain materials to hide it, and then it is treated very nicely with lights and with cornices, with detailing, with chamfering, sometimes with grooves. So it gives you an overall feel of the place, overall feel of the elevation, as if there are no services there, but it's a part of your elevation. I would be very happy if you could put up some questions. I would love to answer them. Parallelly, we are going for the discussion. Yeah, and then the terrace plays a very important role. I think the projections which are coming on the first floor, they are like the crown of the house. So when I say a crown is one which kind of reflects something on the head, and when you are there looking at the head, it has to be done very nicely, because even in person, when you meet somebody, you generally look into the eyes and then you look up rather than looking at the feet. So that aspect is very, very important, and been very cautious to treat the elevation part, especially the top one, which is, it could be a parapet wall, it could be a double height thing with a very nice long pillar going right till the terrace, which gives a covering on the top and protects you from the rain and sun and a lot of other things, and gives the grandeur to the whole elevation. In a lot of my projects, you will see that we've actually inducted this double height space, and it looks very, very nice. But when you talk of these double height spaces, they become very interesting because after a point they lose their functionality. When I say functionality, it means that if you do a porch which is beyond a certain height, then it doesn't protect you from the diagonal rains, the sun, and all that. So you have to be very calculative. Also, a lot of this comes out of your experience, and you really would understand that it'll happen with time, and there would be there would be there are people who would be able to appreciate that that scale and proportion becomes very important. So all the three aspects which that we are talking about, one is the protection from rain, protection from heat, protection from and also, yes, when you sit, you need to put on your fan and other things, the lighting. So if it goes beyond a scale, then that thing becomes diluted and doesn't have much of effect on it. So those scales and proportions are very, very important. So I think we've talked about a lot of things here. I would just like to take up one more aspect to it, where I would say that there are a lot of services which are kept on the terrace. When they are kept on the terrace, you have to be very cautious because they really take the whole sense when you come on the terrace. They have to be designed, they have to be kept very cautiously, and the scale is important. Sometimes you have a centralized air conditioned unit for which the height is going to be more from your parapet wall, and when that goes beyond, it becomes visible in the from the road, or from the outside. Now when that happens, again, these services starts killing the overall sense of the elevation and the project, especially overhead water tanks. They are like some ghosts which are kept on top of the houses. So you have to be very careful that how are you going to treat that, because for pressure water you of course have to keep it on top. But when you do that, are you really being very cautious to treat that, or is it going to be visible from the top? I think that's something which is very, very important, because sometimes they treat it so well that it looks as if it's a part of the elevation, and it adds on and it enhances the aesthetics of the overall house. Well, I think that's all I have on today's discussion on Sunday evening. Well, I'm open to the questions. If any of the viewers have a question, you can pop up. Otherwise, I'll just like to conclude in another 15-20 seconds, and I'll again go live on the Saturdays and Sundays as usual. So it will be on Saturdays will be afternoon somewhere around 12ish, and Sundays will be around 5:30 to 6:30. We will update this to you on our story. You're most welcome. If you have any question, please pop up. I'll love to answer that. Otherwise, I wish you a great weekend, and love you a lot. Love you lots. Thank you very much.